This young kid in Germany, Tugay Sarac, he's just 15 years old, and unfortunately, he was considering going to Syria to get into the fight of radical Islam. So it's a super tough story to hear in the beginning. So he says, I had friends who, like me, were really radical extremists and even considered going to Syria or to Palestine to fight. Now, here comes a couple of twists. First of all, Tugay turns out to be gay. And so he was really conflicted and he wanted to cover that up because he grew up in a more fundamentalist family. His dad, before he passed away, would constantly brag about how anti-gay he was, etc. So he almost wanted to overcompensate and to join up in a radical fight, etc. So he said, I thought being gay is bad and that through Islam, by praying to God, I could cure myself and become normal. I started praying 5 times a day. I just felt bad, like I was dirty or inferior somehow. And I was really ashamed of my gay thoughts. Well, 2 things happened to him that changed his mind. So, and in the end, this turns out to be a fantastic story. So one was, and right wing, I hope you're sitting down, a mosque. A mosque helped to de-radicalize him, okay? So it was only when Sarac came across the Ibn Rushd-Goethe mosque, one of only a handful of gay-friendly mosques around the world, that he found a middle ground that allowed him to accept both his sexuality and his faith, okay? And now Sarac says a couple more things to give you a sense of what was happening in his life. He said, I was struggling between being a normal 14 or 15-year-old guy in Germany and being really religious. My friends were very religious, very radical, and when they told me that they were considering going to Syria, I started thinking about it too. But as Reuters explains, a second thing happened to Sarac that made him change his mind. They explain, one turning point was hearing a presenter on the Young Turks, a US-based liberal news show, ask LGBT Muslims, why would you believe in a religion or a God if this God hates you, if this God will throw you to hell and let you burn forever? Now,
that's weird. I thought that we were radical Islamic apologists.
Well, that is quite weird, yes. And apparently it made a big difference. He said later as well, he said, if you're conflicted, it doesn't make any sense to listen to one group who tell you you're going to hell. So I have to admit, I'm super proud of that story. And I don't know if it was me or you who said it. I'm not sure who it was, but obviously you heard it on the Young Turks. And we talk about fundamentalist religion and how wrong it is all the time. It doesn't mean that all religious people are wrong, and that is a distinction the right wing have such difficulty with. So I think Christianity is completely wrong, but I think some of the best people on earth are Christians. Some nuns who fight for the poor, the needy, fight against nuclear war, etc. Martin Luther King was a reverend, and there's wonderful Muslims across the world who do likewise. One of the really great things about Islam is how much it emphasizes helping the poor and those who are needy. Now, on the other hand, there are terrible parts of the Bible and the Quran. We talk honestly about both of those things. And unfortunately, the fundamentalists take the terrible parts in the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran and turn it towards violence. And what we talk about on the show all the time is that you can be against those religions without being against the people in those religions.
Yeah, actually, you know, it never really hit me until this moment because, look, the Armenian genocide was a religious war when you really think about it, because Armenians were an ethnic Christian minority and they were driven out by Turkish Muslims, right? Now, where did they go? They all went to Muslim majority countries where they were offered refuge. Syria, where my dad was born, Iran. I didn't know this, my maternal grandmother was born in Palestine, right? And so it's just important to understand that there are differences. Even when it comes to the exact same religion, there are differences in interpretation. And so it's unfair, I think, both to Christians and to Muslims to take the most extreme individuals and then use them as a way to generalize about the entire religion.
Yes, and look, for people who are thoughtful about this, what they realize is there's a ton of things that go into affecting a culture, So politics, socioeconomic conditions, religion, what the culture was there before the religion arrived, even geography, all these things create the culture that you currently live in. And some parts of the culture are great, some parts are not so great. And it's okay to talk about that without talking about it in a hateful way, where you discriminate against a whole set of people and you don't give them a chance. You view them as irredeemable, and that you think only one thing drives them. That if they are in a particular religion, they must believe every tenet of that religion, and they must believe in the fundamentalist version of that religion. If Christians were held to that standard, well, then they would be condemned all throughout the world for the worst things in the Bible, where there's massacre after massacre, which God encourages. If Jews were held to that standard, the Old Testament is brutal. And they shouldn't be, of course not, because do all the Christians and all the Jews believe everything in the Old Testament and New Testament? Not remotely. And we're asking all of you who are religious to look into your Bible and look into your Quran. And if someone tells you something hateful that comes out of that book, unfortunately, there are plenty of those passages in the books, that is true. But there are also great passages. And ask them why they are focusing on the hateful ones. Why do they not care about, my favorite example, in Leviticus, eating shellfish? Why is it's right next to you shall not lie with another man if you're a man. So why do you emphasize the being anti-gay so much more, 1,000, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times more than not eating shrimp? It makes no sense at all, unless you have an agenda, and that agenda is driven by hate. So don't believe people who say that everyone in a particular religion is one way, and at the same time, if you've got a fundamentalist who's telling you you're gonna go to hell, and that you should do something violent, you should do something against other people, don't ever believe that. It's not true. You know what you should believe in instead? Yourself. And so when you're a young kid, it's hard to know sometimes in the world. And I need you to have the confidence to know that if you think there is a God, He didn't make a mistake. He created you that way for a reason.
Yep.
And so don't believe people who tell you that you're doing something wrong or that you should fear or hate yourself. You should love yourself. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.